Hi, we're continuing with gold fever. We left off here. This is it says the assay office made the key judgment: was the ore worth a fortune or nothing? This office belonged to James J. Ott, a Swiss businessman who settled in Nevada City. So we're going to continue. Two of the gold rush women became famous. One was Louise Clapp, a wife of a doctor, who lived along the Feather River at the high noon of the gold rush. She was the only woman in camp and a person of rare talent. Her accounts of the gold rush, published as the same as the Dame Shirley letters, were a sensation at the time and were published 150 years later. Dame Shirley letters. Dame Shirley still reads well. A wry and entertaining account of a time long gone. Sarah Royce, who crossed the plains in a covered wagon in 1849 with her husband and infant son, kept a journal. She recalled how the family looked down on the Sacramento Valley from the Sierra in the fall of that year. She saw the golden haze, the big oak trees, and the wide valley. It looked to her like the promised land. Her infant son, Josiah, grew up to be a noted historian and wrote a classic account of the gold rush based on his mother's diary. In the history books and the monuments that dot the gold country even today, all the pioneers are shown to be Caucasian, but that was not so. The Chinese came to California even before the gold rush and continued in large numbers in 1849 and the years thereafter. Nearly every gold town had its Chinese district, and in the cities like San Francisco and Sacramento, there was a parallel Chinese city inside the Caucasian city, and both San Francisco's and Sacramento's Chinatown were famous. In Sacramento, the wide J Street was a road that led to the Mother Lode. I Street, the next street north, was an all-Chinese main street full of businesses and hotels. There were also a number of African Americans drawn west by freedom and the promise of riches. California State University, Sacramento identified 75 documented sites where African American miners worked. The best known was Negro Bar, the center of a 54-square-mile grant given to William Leidesdorff, a Mexican citizen of African descent, and one of the founders of modern San Francisco. Negro Bar is now in the center of the present-day Folsom. But if some people made fortunes, others lost them. Sutter tried mining, using Indians to work the claims. But his enterprise failed. In later years, he said he had been robbed by lawless men who were drawn to the gold country. Allured by the discovery of gold, the dregs and the scum of the cities rushed into California, and murder and rapine marked their every footstep, said George Yount, the pioneer. When Sutter returned from the gold country, he found his fort a mess. Stealing began. Land, horses, cattle, everything began to disappear, he said. There is a saying that men will steal everything but a milestone, and a mouse, and a millstone. They stole my millstone. Shown here, Adams and Company Bank certificate dated February 6, 1854. Below, says $120. Adams and Company, San Francisco Express and Banking Office. Original R. L. Smith. Lucky miners could find nuggets of solid gold in the rivers and streams. Some of them made the nuggets into jewelry, like these stick pins worn by two unknown miners. The Curse of the Mines, Guns, Gambling, and Dice. This classic pistol had a revolving barrel and a short wooden stock. Gambling, drinking, and houses of ill fame are the chief amusements of this country, wrote Lucius Fairchild in 1850. Wallace Baker left posed with the winning poker hand. Even the real estate plans Sutter's son and Brannon had worked out in Sacramento City failed. Brannon managed to trick John Sutter and his son out of title to 200 city lots without paying a cent. Squatters claimed the rest. Defeated, Sutter moved to his hog farm on the banks of the Feather River. His son left Sacramento in 1850, never to return. John Sutter, John Marshall, and Sam Brennan, the three men most responsible for the gold rush, all died broke. John Sutter, John Marshall, and Sam Brannan. The fates almost killed Sacramento City as well. The winter of 1849 to 50 was the year of the famous El Nino weather system, and in January 1850, the American and Sacramento rivers flooded. The infant city was under 4 to 10 feet of water. Dozens of people were killed, some in the city hospital, where the beds floated off in the floodwaters. Another man was said to have kept his gold staked in a belt around his waist. He fell into the flood waters and went down, they said, with his gold. In the summer, there was a riot. Squatters who had simply seized land rallied against the city authorities. When it was over, 8 people were killed, including the sheriff and the town's assessor. In October, the steamer New World came up the river, firing cannon salutes. The boat brought great news. Only 6 weeks old, California was admitted to the Union as 31st state. But the boat also brought a passenger dying of cholera, a highly contagious disease that sometimes killed its victims in a single day. An epidemic broke out in Sacramento. On one terrible day, 60 people died. The population, terrified, abandoned Sacramento. When the epidemic was over, 600 people, including 17 doctors who had stayed behind to treat the sick, were dead. It was an awful time and a glorious time mixed together. So, basically, before the Europeans brought diseases to the Indians, and now the diseases came back to them and killed them. So. In the words of J.S. Holliday, the world rushed in. California had drawn an amazing population, the sort of population that gave California a name for getting up an astounding enterprise and rushing them through with magnificent dash and daring and recklessness of cost or consequences, which she bears to this day, and when she projects a new surprise, the grave world says as usual, "Well, that's California all over," said Mark Twain in Roughing It. Isaac Wallace Baker, a pioneer photographer, posed for his own picture in front of another photographer's shop. Bachelor's Decorating Saloon. Mining in gold turned out to be an illusion. Most miners, disappointed, found very little gold and eventually gave up. They drifted along, Bancroft said, in semi-beggary from snow-clad ranges to burning plain, brave and hardy, gay and careless, till lonely age crept up to confine them to some rural hamlet emblematic of their shattered hopes. Beautiful gold frames they have on these. Really nice. So then, mining didn't pay. After Bancroft did the calculations, he found that the average earning in California in 1852 was $600 a year, and the average wage for miners was $1 a day, and in non-mining industries it was $4 to $5 a day. It turned out, as Sutter had been told years before, that the real gold was in the land, in the Sacramento and San Joaquin valleys, in the crops that he pioneered. Though Sutter touched off the gold rush, he was the state's first real agricultural businessman, and the wealth of the state was in the cities that grew up: San Francisco, Los Angeles, and the Golden City of Sacramento. In 1854, Sacramento was designated as the state capital. In 1861, the cornerstone was laid for the Capitol building. It was completed in 1874. In front of the Capitol, embedded in the Sacramento pavement, is the Great Seal of the state of California. At its center is the goddess Minerva, who, legend says, sprang full-grown from the forehead of Zeus. She is introduced as a symbol of the political birth of the state of California, and a state that never had to go through the probation of being a U.S. territory first. The era of the gold rush died gradually, and the pioneers ended up on monuments or in the cemeteries of every gold rush town, but they are survived by the land they created, California, the Golden State. By the 1870s, Sacramento had developed into a robust city. The first governor of California, Peter Burnett, donated land on K Street at 7th to the Catholic Church for the construction of St. Rose of Lima Church. Its spire added height to the city's skyline. And in conclusion, it says that one of the best ways to pay our respect to our history is to use its lessons and legacies as preparation for the future. Not surprisingly, the greater Sacramento area is home to a number of museums, monuments, festivals that serve as tributes and reminders of how and why we grew. Our area-wide focus on tourism has proved to be rewarding on many fronts. The most obvious benefit, of course, has been financial. Regional tourism brings staggering revenues to the area, and while most of the region's visitors hail from within California, Sacramento also lures many visitors from outside the state and country. Less apparent at first glance, though just as meaningful, has been tourism's gently increasing grip on the imagination of our own residents. In the past few years, Sacramentans have come to terms with what their diverse region is and isn't. We are a growing cosmopolitan city, but we are also acres and acres of rich agricultural land, powerful and meandering rivers, leafy neighborhoods, and abundantly flowered foothills. We are the home of high-tech, light, and heavy industry, state, county, and local government, a marvelous array of outdoor recreation and lively arts, boardroom decision makers. Short, we're an essential component of the California experience. Mostly, however, we are people, several languages, separate heritages, separate special customs, the Sacramentans all. Seasonally, weekly, and sometimes daily festivals celebrating and commemorating cultures and history are held throughout the region. If our past was eventful, our present seems to be event-filled. Needless to say, our future is unlimited. By Sacramento Convention and Visitors Bureau. So that's everything. Sacramento Convention and Visitors Bureau, 1303 J Street, Suite 600, Sacramento 95814. scbb@cityofsacramento.org. 800-292-2334. This is published Gold Fever, California's Gold Rush in 2002. So, yeah. Editor Donna Leverins, design Leslie Woke. Many thanks to the Oakland Museum of California, the Sacramento Archives, and the Sacramento Convention and Visitors Bureau. printed in China. Text Carl Nolte. The most beautiful things are frames. Eureka, the cry that transformed California forever. Mass migration from around the globe. Cities and towns springing up overnight. Fortunes made and lost. Spirit of California was born. Gold fever gives us a glimpse of the California of 1848, a land of endless possibilities, settlers with boundless energy and soaring hopes, lives forever changed. Today, California still reflects many influences of that magical era in the history of the United States, the Gold Rush. So thank you guys, and you can find my page, facebook.com/YOSAllplay, YOSALLPLAY.